everybody. Welcome back to the Super Dope Book Club. I'm Mary Catherine.
And this is Sebastian.
And today we're going to finish Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter.
Yay.
So we're going to go right into chapter 9. It's called The Entitlement Trap. There is no joy in work. There is no happiness except in the realization that we have accomplished something. Henry Ford. So this chapter, he goes more into detail about his relationship with his son. And I'm not going to talk a lot about that relationship because I wanted to learn about the lessons, but there will be bits and pieces in here. This is a very potent chapter for me, and it should be for all of you because as we go on, you will realize as Americans, we have really been taking things for granted.
Yes.
As I grow older, the one thing that becomes clear to me each and every day is that I don't owe anyone a thing, and neither do you. Some people are not built to make it. No matter how much support you provide them or love you show, their lowest habits are going to pull them right back to whatever struggle they came from. One of the first rules of lifeguarding is to never get too close to a drowning person. Why? Because when you reach them just before they go under, that person is going to jump on your back and cause you both to sink. If they get too close, punch them dead in the face and get them off you. Otherwise, you're both going to die. So that's a very extreme metaphor, but it is also very true. Because when you are bringing someone along with you who is going to just ride your coattails and just jump on and expect you to take care of the rest, you are ultimately losing. And it's really hard to notice those things, especially if you're close to someone who is doing this.
Yeah.
So this is great because it's going to really make you take inventory of your life. So just keep that in mind. So he brings up, that's not to say you should never try to help someone. Does it feel good to put a person onto a new opportunity? Of course it does. I've spent my whole career trying to do exactly that. When I've played basketball, I've always gotten more pleasure out of an assist than scoring on my own. However, in basketball, your job is to win games, not to keep running back up and down the court with the same clowns who can't get the job done. It's time to call for a sub. Because if you're working with people who are not working back with you and you're not creating something, you're not finding the wins together, there's something broken in that relationship or in someone's work ethic, and you need to figure it out because you're just holding yourself back.
Right.
You must accept that it's all on you. That might seem like a very cynical way to view the world, but I would argue it's actually liberating. When you accept that it's all on you, only then can you finally be free to focus 100% on being the best version of yourself. When I was younger, I used to find so many other reasons as to why things weren't working out for me. So many reasons. I went through some stuff in college where I lost my health insurance. So I also lost my prescription for Adderall, which I had been on since 3rd grade, literally from the time I was 8 years old. And then my junior year of college, I didn't have it anymore. I gained a bunch of weight. I started failing all my classes. I got super depressed. And I just did not leave my house. And I have always been really quick to blame my situation. Back then I was blaming it. I was this is all, it's because I'm not on Adderall. It's because this isn't working out, blah, blah, blah. But I also never put really forth any effort into trying harder to make it work out better for myself. Instead, I just was everything used to work so easily for me because I took my medicine and everything was fine. Why should I have to try harder now when I had it all together before already? And that was such a terrible way to look at it. And honestly, I found no personal growth in that because I ended up getting my health insurance back a year and a half later. And then as soon as I got my health insurance back, even though I was in school full-time that whole year and a half, I had failed so many classes and messed up so much stuff that I had to keep going to school for an extra year and a half. So I get back on the medication and I start killing it in school. I lost a bunch of weight all of a sudden. I was back on track and everything was fine. And that just actually reaffirmed my bad habit in blaming things. Because I was see, all my problems are solved because my health insurance is fine now. Everything's good. But that's a horrible way to look at it, because then as I got older, I actually have weaned myself off all medications, because the reason everything went bad for me was because I had never learned to control my eating. I had never learned to study because I didn't have to, because I had this medication that was doing it all for me. So just my whole life, I'd never had to. So once I started to wean myself off these medications and learn as a person how to grow, how to control my eating habits and figure out how to portion and how to push myself to work out, not just be mad, oh, I'm fat because I don't take medicine. Like, no, I, like, get out there and work out. I mean, it was part of it, but I, at some level, could have accepted some responsibility, because I've been off all medications for 2 years now.
Yeah, just about.
2 years, and I have been thriving because I figured out coping mechanisms and I pushed so much harder. And that's the hustle harder part. Like, when things aren't working out, you gotta actually do something about it. And I never did. Until I took myself actively off the medication and forced myself into learning this new thing. But when I was taken away from me, I just gave up. So, like, don't do that, man.
Yeah, no, it's very easy to fall into that trap. You
So,
know?
it's so easy. This is the entitlement trap. I felt entitled to being skinny and getting grades without trying, because I had on medication my whole life that made me that way. Some people never get on medications and just have to figure out how to go, even if they have ADHD and anxiety and depression. Like, they still just have to go without their medications. So I just really felt entitled. I was like, no, Adderall's a miracle drug, and that's what I need to fix me. But I can fix me, so.
100%. It's all on you.
Yeah, so then he brings up the 20-year vacation. When I first got together with Shaniqua, neither of us had much. We were both living in what we perceived to be the bottom. Then my situation changed, and I suddenly had resources at my disposal. One day, when we weren't together anymore, I was visiting her in Marquise one weekend. So, what do you want to do? I asked her. She said, ain't nobody work if they don't have to. Oh shit, I sputtered. You already did it, she said firmly, so why should I have to do it too? I'm good. He said, I don't mean to sound dramatic, but it was one of the most shocking conversations of my life. I'm extremely serious about the value of hard work. I believe it creates not only success, but happiness too. You can never feel satisfied if you're not applying yourself to something you're passionate about. So when his baby's mom said that, he realized that she's just really cool with coasting through life and doing nothing. And her son's in that environment as well. Like, so he's being taught the exact same thing. So now he knows his son, he's like, oh God, my son might learn that. He might get stuck in that.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, very, very stressful.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of people have the argument of nature versus nurture, right? And for me, the argument is for a regular human being, like, if you have a typical life, just like just two individuals, just like that, I mean, it's very easy to point out that that's all nurture. Like, the type of environment that she was putting her son into, like, she wasn't realizing that she was basically making her son super lazy.
Yeah, he's entitled. He thinks everything should come to him because that's what she showed him. She was like, hey, he's got money. If he's not giving it to you, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Not you need to earn it.
And, like, that doesn't make sense, because here is 50 trying to, like, push him forward, trying to make him a better person in every way that he possibly could.
Which he does admit he was not a good father at all, like a lot of the time, but he still tried. And when he tried, he was met with this resistance.
Right.
I don't want to just say, like, yeah, 50 did it all right, because he even admitted he did not.
Right.
But when he tried, he was met with that resistance.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, because, I mean, I understand that going through his young life, like, probably having so much resentment against him and everything, that can complicate things for later on. But here he is finally reaching out to him and giving his best possible 50 Cent or Curtis Jackson that he could possibly be, and his son is just fully rejecting the whole love and support, and all he cares about it, I guess, is just Jordans.
Yeah, he actually says, how do you make a privileged child feel deprived or angry? I guess by getting him whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He wanted new pair every time a new pair of Jordans came out. He wanted that new pair of Jordans, and then once he got the new pair of Jordans, literally the next day, his mom made sure he had those Jordans. It still didn't make him happy. Instead of being excited to rock his new pair of Jordans, all Marquise could think about was all the retro Jordans that he did not have. All the different flyaways and colors that weren't in his closet. When he should have felt gratification, all he really felt was disappointment. And I could not relate. Oh my gosh, if he, like, Curtis does not relate to this at all, because as we know from the very beginning, since he was a child, he always wanted better for himself, so he went out and he did better for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I do want to point out from that paragraph that I really loved was that 50 right here is basically saying that his son is not looking at any positives at all. So like he's not being grateful for what he has, right? So like that would be something positive to reinforce as a human being, rather than like he's looking at all the negatives of like I just don't have enough. I don't have enough shoes, I don't have enough, it doesn't make sense. So like it's all negative mindset over negative mindset over negative mindset, not being forced, not having any structure of like, hey, maybe I should be a little bit grateful of like having this super rare pair of shoes that I could not get my hands on before, or something like that. So what I just want to point out that in such a simple paragraph, he basically points out that we as human beings, we just tend to just only notice at the negative things. Like very few people actually sit down and like tell themselves, you know what, I am actually grateful for where I'm at right now, for the house that I have, or and the cars that I have, and that I'm able to like live and survive, right? So I don't know, that was something that really struck me, and I just had to say it.
That actually relates to a book on the side that Sebastian is reading right now called The Power of Bad.
Yeah.
And that's what it's completely about. Is so just in case you're in the mood to change your mindset, look at The Power of Bad by
John Tierney.
John Tierney.
Tierney.
And Roy F. Baumeister.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually The Power of Bad and How to Overcome It.
Yeah,
So that's actually a really good book. I have only read two pages, but I relate.
Yeah, so I just had to point that out.
So then 50 goes to talk about how his issue with Marquise wasn't that he wanted all of those sneakers. It was that when he was young, he was willing and determined to do the work necessary to get the sneakers. So he understands him wanting the stuff because he wanted stuff too, but he went out and found a way to get the stuff. Where Marquise is just like, man, you're not going to give me $300 more.
Right, he's just waiting for a little handout rather than being like, man, I really want this. Like, how can I get my hands on it by just working my butt up?
Exactly.
You know?
And he says there's nothing wrong with wanting things. The sense of want can be a tremendous motivational tool. Feeling like you need more than what you have is what keeps us from getting complacent. I've pretty much got it all, but I never feel like I do. When I was younger, I always wanted more in the way of material things, but today what I want more of is validation. I want to know that I've got the hottest show or just dropped the hottest verse. I need the respect of my peers and the confirmation of sales. What sets me apart is that I never expect anyone else to bring me those accolades. I go out each and every day obsessed with putting in the work that will earn me whatever sort of validation I am looking for. And that is actually everything, because I'm going to be very honest. As a person, I can't help myself. Validation is something that I do look for, and it's something I got from my mom, and we talk about it all the time because it is something we are both working on together to grow, because I shouldn't be looking for validation like all the time, but since I am looking for it, I do find ways to get it. Like, we started a podcast, and thanks guys, you guys keep texting me and calling me and telling me I'm doing awesome and that you're listening, and that's the validation I need. Like, that I thrive off of it. I like to hear from people that tell me good things.
Right. I mean, to an extent, we as human beings need validation. Like, it's some sort, it gives us like that dopamine of love and that sort of thing. But like, I think the extent of just, I don't even know how to
It's okay. I'm an extreme form of the validation. That's why I got a degree in acting, because when I was on stage, people were literally coming down, sitting down, weren't allowed to talk, the lights were down, and all you could see was me and whoever else was up there. Like, I love that. I love that. And so I get it. And I had never put forth the real effort I needed until the very end of college to get that validation. Because I made myself unreliable and I didn't go out of my way and work harder to actually do the things I wanted to do. I just I'll try this out. Oh, it didn't work. Well, I'll try this out. Until I really wanted it. And then once I really wanted that validation, I really worked hard. I got the role I wanted my last semester. Boom, did it. Validation. So it's just...
Yeah, you just use your validations to your own benefit.
It is my motivator. It
Right.
is my motivator.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to say, and I just could not get it out for whatever reason.
It's motivation for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like learning how to use those validations, not getting too obsessed by the likes and that type of validation. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it's nice every once in a while, and it feels good. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's like, don't get too obsessed on that. Like, yes, look at it, it's nice, but just be like, all right, just move on with whatever else you have to do.
Yeah, if your validations aren't fueling you, then that's when they're a problem.
Right. Because even the people that get that feel like they have to get validated on like Instagram, like if they have a business or whatever, like at the end of the day, those people have to pay attention to the comments, because even though they're sort of looking for the validation of like their customers, they're also, because of those validations, it's also input to the business that can be helpful at the end of the day.
Where on the opposite side, dumb validations, which is this is where I need growth, are like, I make Sebastian breakfast every single morning. Every morning I make one of like 7 to 8 breakfasts. Like I have a cycle. They're the same breakfast. They taste the same. Like, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I make bomb breakfast. But, like, they're, like, the same breakfast. Like, that he's not tried a new spectacular one. But after I give him breakfast every morning, I wait. Like, and I go away. And I come back to see if he's eaten it yet. And if he hasn't eaten it yet, I start to get mad because I'm like, it's getting cold. And then he hasn't eaten it yet, and I'm like, God, I just want you to tell me the food's good. Like, just take a bite. And it's like, I make the same food. He's told me how much he loves my cooking a million times. Why do I need to hear that? I don't need to hear that. And that is an example of validation anti-helping.
I guess. I can be frustrated because like sometimes I'm on the computer, I just don't even touch it for an hour.
After asking me to make breakfast.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, let's move on.
So next we're gonna hit up embracing responsibility.
Yes.
In order to be a true hustler, you have to chase the gratification that can only come from making things happen yourself. When you have a vision that no one else can identify with and pour everything you have into it, you find yourself in valley after valley and can't ever quite catch a glimpse of the mountaintop. But you keep pushing forward until that one day when you finally do make it to that peak. Man, that's going to be the best damn view you ever saw in your life. You're going to soak up every bit of that mountain air and enjoy every inch of the panorama spread in front of you. But if someone drove you to that mountaintop in AC and you just like cruised up there, you didn't sweat, you didn't sacrifice, you just like got up there, and then you just get out of your car and you see this beautiful view. It's not any less amazing, it's not any less inspiring, but you can only get true fulfillment and happiness from enjoying the achievement if you made it happen yourself. Like that whole anticipation of trying to make it, of getting there, finally getting there after all that struggle is such a huge, beautiful release. But if you just drove and got out of the car, you've been there 30 minutes and you get kind of bored and drive away.
Yeah.
But like if you made it there, like that was a crowning achievement that you're never going to forget.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely love that metaphor. You can apply it to anything in life, really.
Literally anything. You can literally apply it to climbing mountains. Like he's using it here to like win and succeed, but like it's obviously very like straightforward too. You can literally just climb a mountain, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like when we were in Asia, we scooted up a mountain on a scooter. It was real cool. But the day we climbed a mountain on stairs, Getting to the top of that was a whole nother
That
experience.
was very rewarding, and also like when we climbed the volcano.
Oh, we hiked up a volcano.
Hiked.
Hiked it. We did not climb that. We hiked that. Whew. On a volcano in like 95-degree weather.
Yeah.
And like getting to, if I had just been if like I'd taken a helicopter to the top of that thing, I am not gonna lie, we would have just stood up there for like 5 to 10 minutes and been like, yeah, this is really pretty, and taking pictures, right?
Yeah.
No. We hiked to the top of a fucking volcano.
Yeah.
It was so hard. And it was so hot, and we got up there and we ate and we opened a coconut and drank it and looked at an acid lake, and we really just reveled in it.
Yeah, no, it was very rewarding.
And then we hiked back
I
down.
loved every bit of it, man. I was like, I miss exercising.
Yeah, we hadn't exercised in a while. But the hike back down was real hard. I fell a few times. But, like, so, like, I guess that is a whole nother thing in itself, because how do you stay on the mountaintop?
Yeah.
Damn it. So he says you can't allow yourself to fall into the resentment trap. Even when it seems to be the most natural thing to do, the only way you're ever going to experience that freedom Freud was talking about is to accept complete and total responsibility for creating it. So the whole point of all of this is you have to take control of your life. That's what will get you there, and that is what will make you feel the most fulfilled. Not letting someone ride on your coattails, not cheating and getting your way there quick, but actually putting forth the work and the effort to get what you deserve.
Right.
The next header is called Importing Hustle, and I think this one's really cool. So over here in America, the sense of entitlement is found at every level of society. The people in the $1 million penthouses feel like they have a right to live there. The people in the low-end housing feel like no matter what they do, they're never going to get one of those penthouses themselves, so instead of hustling harder, they stop caring. An immigrant isn't going to identify with either of those mentalities. The entire country looks like the most beautiful place in the world compared to where many of them are coming from. And that is a huge perspective right there. The difference between being here and being in a different country, like we've seen other countries personally and have seen the difference. Like even the kids are out there trying to sell you stuff constantly. Mm-hmm. The children come right up to you, hustling immediately. Handmade bracelets, get them. Cheap bracelets, here, 3 for this much. Oh no, you don't like that? I'll go cheaper. Oh, what about this one? And they will not leave you alone. And honestly, they're just hustling for a better future. And like over here, we're just like lazy.
Yeah, no, they take their job very, very serious over there, which actually I think he points out at one point or the other. I just love how passionate they are about what they do. Like, I mean, bus drivers, taxi drivers,
yeah,
people in the kitchen, your servers.
Yeah, that's what he brought up, is their passion.
They don't even expect a tip, and like they're the nicest human beings.
Yeah, and when you do tip them overseas, it's crazy because they don't get tips. Like, that's not part of what they do. They're just working, and they're just happy to have the opportunity to work. Here, people work, and they're like, ugh, God, I put in all this time and effort, and I should be getting way more than I get. No, you shouldn't be complaining, you should be working.
Yeah, like people in Wall Street that are getting paid crazy money, and one guy's mad because the other guy got a $50,000 bonus, even though he's probably making anywhere between $150,000 to $250,000 a year.
Yeah. And see, actually, he's about to bring that up. He says, I consider immigrants to be the backbone of New York. They keep its hustler spirit alive. We always celebrate the Wall Street guys or the tech CEOs, but the immigrants are the ones making it happen day in and day out. According to a study from the Center of American Entrepreneurship, 56% of all Fortune 500 companies in the metro New York City area were founded by immigrants. So, that African guy who got his teeth knocked out for selling my bootleg back in the day, there's no way he wasn't back selling CDs the very next day. He probably kept selling them until he opened his own chain of stores. Today, he might even have one of those big companies. Or maybe he went back to his home country and opened a chain of stores there. That's why it's time we import some of the hustle that seems to be so abundant in the rest of the world. Then we can stop feeling like people owe us something and start realizing that our hustle can lead us to whatever we want in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, best example that I have in my own personal life has to be my mom.
Oh, of course.
I mean, she's came from Colombia. Yes, we had the privilege to come in the country legally.
Legally.
Yeah.
Legally. He's saying the word legally.
Sorry. um, but at the end of the day, she was so accustomed to working like ever since she was a little girl in Colombia that as soon as she got to the States, she literally had to figure out she wanted to figure out a way to work. And my stepdad was like, nah, you don't have to work. So for a while, she didn't work, which was fine and all. But then she got bored. She literally just was like, I'm going insane. I'm not used to this. This is not what I do. So she went and got a job at Golden Corral as a cook. And then at the same time, she was learning English at a little school that was nearby. And so she was going to school and going to work. So as she was learning English at work and at the little school, and then she got promoted to be a server because that's what she was used to in Colombia. She was a server her entire life, and but their concern was that her English, and honestly, it was no big deal because she literally became just about the biggest asset to that company for that one franchise actually. I mean, she literally had clients that would come in just for her, and she would have like a totally filled section just because these people would care so much about her.
She still has clients that talk to her,
yeah,
and that place isn't even open anymore.
Yeah, even for Christmas, she still gets like presents as if she's still working there, even though the place is completely shut down now. Which is still amazing.
That's amazing. It's been shut down a long time. It's not like it just shut down. Like
yeah, no. So like it's insane. So the work ethic that she has, it's quite amazing to me. I love and I respect my mother so much because she's definitely taught me that through hard work you get what you deserve, so to speak. Because like now we have a better life than we had in Colombia. We live in much better places. I mean, we have nice cars, something that in Colombia, like if you have a car, it's like, man, you have money over there. You know what I mean? Like, so something that I probably would have never have gotten in Colombia at all whatsoever. So like my life is a whole lot better because my mom had this vision of I am going to make my life better and my son's better, like no matter what. Like that vision has always stuck to my mom. And I love that so much too because she still has the mentality because just about a week, not a week ago, about 4 weeks ago, my mom had a surgery on her foot and she still is talking of like when I get better, I'm going back to work, probably serving. And I'm like, you're crazy.
Like you just have foot surgery.
You literally had foot surgery because of serving. Because you've served for so long that it just messed up your foot.
But she loves it.
She loves it. I'm just like, you're crazy, but it's okay. I love you, Mom. Do your thing if that makes you happy.
She loves it, man.
She just loves it.
She's in her element. She's in her element talking to all the people.
I love you, Mom. I really hope that you listen to this.
And this actually brings us to another great point. Are they making a deposit in your life? Sebastian's mom has made nothing but deposits in my life, so I love you too, Gloria. Thank you. There's one question you must ask about every person in your life, no matter how long you've known them. Does he or she ever make deposits into my life, or do they only make withdrawals? If the answer is withdrawals, then that's someone you need to distance yourself from immediately. And that makes sense. Like, so think about it. Is there someone that, like, you consider one of your closest friends? They've been around you forever. But when they hit you up, it's only when they need something. Like, you hit them up, and you guys have normal conversations. But if they're the one that hits you up, like, what if you don't hit them up for a while? When they hit you up, is it just going to be talk and hang out? Or do they need something? Do they need a ride? Are they just bored and, like, actually want your company? Or, like, do they need a ride somewhere? So, like, that's really important. Because until you figure that out, you won't actually know who to trust. Who's using you, who's helping you to thrive and move forward. Professionally, you can always contribute to morale no matter what position you're in. So he's telling us that basically when you are at work, you need to make deposits. You can't just withdraw. You don't just show up to work, get there on time, and make deposits while you're there. And if you're not the best at your job, and if you're not the smartest person there, which I'm not even gonna lie to you, almost every job I've ever had, I'm not the best at. I am not the smartest at. But I contribute to the morale. I'm smiling, I'm happy, I'm friendly, I'm including everyone, and I can lead because I care about how everyone is doing on the shift. Because a whole shift can go wrong just because one person's in a bad mood.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, that's probably how we truly met. It was because you were that outgoing individual that you were trying to get everybody included. Because where we work at, like, there's a seniority type of
Hierarchy.
Yeah, that's the word. So like for the people that start for the first time there, it's a bit intimidating, and you were basically making sure that everybody that just came in like felt normal, safe, like you guys are good, chill.
Yeah, I know we've all been here a long time, but like trust me, you'll be best friends with us in 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, exactly, and I love that.
And actually, Sebastian got way more than best friends. Way earlier than 2 weeks. It was awesome. Look, 3 years later, it really worked out for me. So I reaped the benefits. That's funny. So basically, like, if you're working somewhere, show up early or at least on time. Gosh, but like early, and just be a positive force in the work energy. Like that's straight up making deposits right there. Because when they come to cut someone, like you may not have the highest numbers, but you may have the same numbers as someone else, but the other person's a real drag. They're gonna get rid of the drag.
Yeah.
You know, like so just like that little like just deposit, put it in the bank. So he says be the one with the positive attitude, and the easiest deposit you can make, but one that'll pay off in the long run, is showing up on time. So now we get to a point where you want to get a raise. As long as you're making consistent deposits, it's okay to approach your boss and ask to discuss a raise. But do not start that conversation by pointing out how long you've been at the company. Instead, when you have that talk, keep the focus on what you've been contributing to. Because if you talk about how long you've been there and they already haven't given you a promotion or talked to you about a raise, there's a reason they haven't talked to you about those things. Maybe they're thinking about getting rid of you. Maybe you've been there too long. So if you start by saying, this is what I bring to the table and will continue to bring to the table at this level, if not higher, can you help bring something home to my table? You know what I mean? And as long as you do that, like, if you approach it the right way, why would they say no if you're actually making those deposits?
Yeah.
Like, just
100%. I mean, if they say no to that, then then something's sketch.
Or you actually are not making deposits and you just think you are. Maybe you're with a company that isn't appreciating your work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe you just need to sit down and think a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
so just like keep depositing, guys.
Yeah.
100%. Unless you hate your job, then quit.
True, but if you can't afford to quit, like it's fine. Just switch that mindset, that negative mindset, into a positive mindset. Keep that. I don't know if you guys know about I don't know if you guys know about Gary Vee, but like I love what he says. Just keep that positive mindset and just grind. Like even if you don't like what you're doing, like just keep saying to yourself, like I'm doing this to better myself, and I'm gonna get somewhere else.
And then, but we're not saying to just have that mindset and keep doing the thing you hate. We're saying use that energy to do the thing you hate better and find a new path to get away from.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. Don't get stuck.
Don't just like be like no. This is fine. I'm gonna keep doing it. Don't keep making those deposits, but deposit to put yourself in a better situation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then our last header. We are to the last header of our book, guys. Is giving back. And this header showed me a very, very different side of Curtis, and or where he is now anyway. He says, I'll admit there are times when I don't feel very charitable. And he brings up how when he sees a guy asking for money on the street, a homeless man, that he doesn't want to give him money. He really doesn't. He doesn't feel that. Maybe sometimes he will, sometimes he doesn't, but seeing that gives him no real desire to do it. The older I get, the less I'm impressed with people who amass money, and the more inspired I am by the people who are committed to giving it away. And this is what's changing his mindset. David Geffen isn't going to be remembered for making hit records. He'll be celebrated for the advances he supported in medical fields. Warren Buffett may be incomprehensibly wealthy, but he has committed himself to donating 99% of his fortune to charities by the end of his life, and he is pushing other billionaires to do the same thing with the Giving Pledge. Their examples made me become more conscious of my own legacy. I've had to ask myself, do I want to be mainly remembered as a person who sold a lot of records and made a lot of hit TV shows? At one point, the answer would have been, hell yeah. I still value that experience, but now it's more important that I'm also thought of as someone who did something positive with the money he made. I'm committed to take the money, resources, and connections I've gained on the way to the top and invest them directly back into the bottom so that the people living there might have an easier time making a similar journey. So the first time that Curtis Jackson really got interested in the concept of philanthropy was when he traveled to Nigeria. He didn't know anything about the country, but Heineken paid him $4 million to do 4 shows there. So he packed up his bags and he went. Yep. He did 3 shows. Before the 4th show, he actually had some guy, he was like, hey, go grab $15,000 in cash and put it in a bag and then go to the car. I'll meet you out there. They go out to the car and he's like, take me to the hood. And they went to the ghettos of Nigeria, which he was not prepared for the ghettos of Nigeria. There's no homes. It's literally like huts and shacks made of pieces of metal and tarps, and there's pee and poop just running in rivers down the street, and it's disgusting. And he has never seen something so horrible. He thought that when he was at the bottom, he was at the bottom. And then he saw this and he realized he didn't even know what the bottom was. So then they just start passing out $100 bills from the car, which is a terrible idea. Bad idea.
Bad idea, but I get.
But so sweet. Generous, so generous, but so a bad idea. Because so he's passing out all these $100 bills to the point where everyone's just coming to this car, and they finally get out of there and they get back to the hotel. And now there's 4,000 to 5,000 people outside of his hotel hoping to just touch him, or maybe they'll get money. Mostly get money. But he said if the energy he felt he said the energy was ridiculous. It was more kinetic than at any concert I've ever performed at. This was a country where picking up an extra $40 might change your life for the next few months, and I was handing out Ben Franklin's like candy at Halloween. He said, it felt great to know that I had helped so many people in a short amount of time, but I also realized that driving around the slums throwing bills wasn't the smartest or most effective plan or way to use my money to help people, and I needed a better plan. Because since so many people had amassed outside of his hotel room, they actually had to cancel the last show and go home. Because they thought there'd be a riot at the next show. Everybody would be like, give us your money, man. He said, I used to think I was from the bottom, but my trip to Africa was a wake-up call. It turns out that I didn't have any idea what the bottom actually looked like. My understanding of how bad the situation is got even deeper in 2012 when I teamed up with the World Food Program and traveled to Kenya and Somalia to witness the impact of the hunger crisis has had on those countries. In Kenya, I visited a school where all of the 500 kids were orphans, and 48 of them were HIV positive. They each got to eat 1 meal a day, and it was cornmeal with protein powder dumped on it. There wasn't anything else on the menu. That was all they got every day. But these kids still had the most incredible energy. After that trip, I committed myself to working with the World Food Program to fight global hunger, especially in Africa. To get the program on the right foot, I wrote a check that covered the cost of 2.5 million meals. So that blew me away because, this whole time, Curtis has never really talked about giving back. He's talked about everything he's had to do to get to the top. He's talked about being not self-centered, but being self-prioritized.
Yes.
To make his dreams come true. Now that he's made it, now that he's in his 40s and he's ready to keep going higher, of course, but he's looking back and taking tax on his life, and he's really wants to make a difference now. And that is cool. Yeah. That is a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's he finally sat down and was like, you know what? It's time to just give back to the world. The world has given to me. It's time to give back to the world.
Yeah. Well, he thinks I have given to me. But why not share with the world? Yeah, that's what I think so impressive, because he at no point thinks the world did anything for him. He did it. But he's also like, just because I'm the one who did this, I have so much. Why can't I help the people who don't have the opportunity? Just to make it a little easier for them.
True. I like that.
Yes.
I do like that a lot, man.
The next thing is what really drove that for me. He says, my hope is that programs like the one we did with Street King, which is for the food, can relate a template for something I call conscious capitalism. That means instead of hitting $1 billion lick and then just sitting on it, these CEOs start to make giving a fundamental part of their business plan. The World Bank says that if the top Fortune 500 companies donated just 1% of their earnings to charitable organizations, it could alleviate extreme poverty across the entire globe. Just 1% of Fortune 500 company, like 1%, would end poverty across the globe.
Would help, yeah, for sure.
That's,
definitely would help a lot.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And
greed, you know.
So he then goes on to say how his answer for like, I worked for this, I've done this, what am I gonna do? He's like, you know what, if you have money, I need you to go and check out a third world country real quick, just to like humble yourself. It'll really show you your opportunity and motivate you. Because when we were there, seeing people living in the streets, homeless dogs everywhere, and I know I shouldn't have focused on the dogs, but there are so many homeless dogs. There's so many homeless dogs. And they're like, and you see this level of poverty, and when you come home and you're like, I'm having trouble making rent. Honey, pick up some hours. Like, if you're having trouble to figure something out, start a business, sell lemonade. Like, you'll figure it out, because you have a roof over your head, dude. And if you don't have a roof over your head, what a great place to be homeless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, he says, not about your work ethic versus someone else's lack of one. It's about recognizing that you've been blessed to be able to apply your work ethic in a country with as many opportunities as America has. He said, I don't want to give the impression that I'm only focused on helping kids in Africa either. When I sold my mansion in Connecticut, I donated all the $3 million I earned to my G-Unity Foundation. The money went to support programs that provide academic enrichment in poverty-stricken areas in America. I've also given lots of money, almost $1 million, to help restore public parks near where I grew up in Queens. I want kids coming up there today to have green spaces where they feel comfortable playing outside and getting familiar with nature. Once I've provided for the future of myself and my kids, how many more toys do I really need? Not many. What I need to do is figure out more ways to give back. I've made a lot of things cool in my days. Using a sing-song flow in my raps, bulletproof vests, paying your debts back by Monday. Now I want to make charity cool too. If I could do that, that's what would go down as my greatest accomplishment. And that's how we drop the mic.
That's one way to end it.
Like, for him, like, that is so cool that he took this whole book and he's like, these are all the ways you can be successful. But once you get there, donate to charity and do everything you can to give back.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the way that ends, because at the end of the day, like, we're all human beings, and money and success, we can't take that to the grave. You know what I mean? So, like, why not just help other human beings, help them out, get through life, enjoy this beautiful blue marble that we live in, and just...
Yeah. And let other people enjoy it too.
Yeah, exactly. You know what?
Like,
stop it with the greediness.
God, so much selfish. So much selfish.
Yeah. Life's rough, you know?
Yeah, but hey guys, with everyone trying together, we can help make life less rough. For not only ourselves, but others as well.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that is definitely the goal. Absolutely.
So here are 50's rules. Just to summarize, remember to be fearless, to cultivate the heart of a hustler, to build a strong crew, to know your value, don't forget to evolve or die, shape perception, don't be afraid to compete, learn from your L's, avoid the entitlement trap, give back. And that was our first book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent. We just completed a whole book on our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeet. But because this book is over, let's talk about our new book. It is called Binti. Binti is by Nade Okorafor. She is an American fantasy and sci-fi author for children and adults. In 2015, she was named the African Literary Person of the Year by Brittle Paper. Her parents traveled to America for school and were unable to return because of the Nigerian Civil War. So Nade was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and was a nationally ranked track and tennis star until she had a spinal fusion surgery at the age of 19. She was temporarily paralyzed from the waist down, and this is when she turned to writing small stories. A friend encouraged her to take a creative writing class, and she finished her first novel by the end of that semester. She now has a master's in journalism from Michigan State and a master's and PhD from the University of Illinois, Chicago. So, your girl's a doctorate. And she wrote a really cool short story about space. So, fantasy is my favorite genre, and I picked the tiniest little book, guys, okay? The smallest little chew-on fantasy book, because I know a lot of people are not into it. But part of this book club is to explore things you're not into.
Yep, just like me. I'm not into sci-fi usually, but here I am.
I-
Give it a shot.
I'm taking y'all on a ride, and I only know about this book what I've read, and I'm gonna read the back to you. But this book has won awards. Like, she won the Nebula Award and another award for best novella when it came out, and it's a space saga. So she left her home for the stars, but found more adventure than she bargained for. A tense and intimate coming-of-age story in space. Her name is Binti, and she is the first of the Himba people ever to be offered a place at UMSA University, the finest institution of higher learning in the galaxy. But to accept the offer will mean giving up her place and her family to travel between the stars among strangers who do not share her ways or respect her customs. Knowledge comes at a cost, one that Binti is willing to pay, but her journey will not be easy. The world she seeks to enter has long warred with the Meduse, an alien race that has become the stuff of nightmares. UMSA University has wronged the Meduse, and Binti's stellar travel will bring her within their deadly reach. If Binti hopes to survive the legacy of war not of her making, she will need both the gifts of her people and the wisdom enshrined within the university itself. But first she has to make it there alive. Dun dun dun! So this story is going to be really cool because of her Nigerian heritage and the fact that she was born in America, she considers herself a Nige-American. Like, other people consider themselves Nigerian American. She literally fused the words together to create a new word, Nige-American, because she thinks that, like, it makes sense that is her identity, that is her culture, and she takes her culture and it is written into her pages. So this has very African roots in space. So I'm, like, really pumped about this. Her name is Nade Okorafor. I will have it spelled out in the description. This is what it looks like. It is a 3-part book. 3 books. We're only getting the first one, but if you think you're going to be interested in it, I suggest buying the version that has all 3 in it. However, this book is only 96 pages. It's very short. We're only going to take a couple weeks on this. So, I hope you guys... Oh, it won the Hugo and Nebula Award. I'm really glad that was written on there. So, please get this. We hope you like it. We will start it together. And thank you, as always, for checking this out.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, everybody.
And have a great week.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.
Bye.